COVID positivity rate is an important number for schools and businesses debating whether to bring people back in person. Now, the goal is to have fewer than 5% of those tested come back positive. But another down day for COVID testing has caused that rate to climb from about 9% last week to more than 12%. About 1,800 new COVID cases were reported today. Even more concerning, 76 more deaths connected to COVID were reported today. And the number of people going to the hospital for medical care has gone up for the first time in a month.